For decades in China, there exists a hidden but thriving black market for minors. Thugs, human traffickers, parents, and even doctors work together to sell these young lives for a profit. Many of them are tremendously rich thanks to this market. And now you want in. You want to start selling kids because the only goal in life is to make money, using any means necessary. While I say you got the right mindset and you've come to the right place, I'm gonna walk you through step by step on how to set up a kid selling business. This is Minor Market, how to get rich selling kids in China. Like any good businessman, if you want to make money from your customers, you need to understand them first. You need to understand why there are demands and where these demands are coming from. Our business exists because of one simple reason. The Chinese society is fundamentally sexist. Some may try to argue me on this, but there isn't even a debate to have here. Just know that the Confucius himself despised women, saying only they and small-minded people are hard to deal with. That alone tells you how women are treated in China. Thousands of years of sexism leads to the belief that only men are the successors of families. If a family doesn't have a man in it, that bloodline is considered extinct. You just failed all of your ancestors. That's why it is the firm belief of most families that one must have a son. Now, this wouldn't be that much of a problem if you can have as many kids as you want. Just keep having babies until you have a son. But then the one-child policy came along. Now everyone can have only one kid. So they better make sure that kid is a boy, since you only got one shot at it. Abortions are often conducted once the family finds out they're expecting a girl. That's why China banned doctors from revealing the sex of the babies to families a long time ago. As a result, close to half the population couldn't get the kid they want. Most of them, while disappointed, accept that they will have no son. But the few of them unsatisfied will do whatever it takes to get the boys. They are usually middle class or rich families living at the east of China. In normal society, if a family wants a kid but couldn't do it naturally, they go to an orphanage for adoption. Yet the Chinese orphanages are filled with girls and children with disability. Not at all what those families want. Plus, the adoption process is extremely difficult and unreasonable, which makes these families disregard adoption as an option. So this family can't have boys naturally, yet they can't adopt a kid legally. Most importantly, they want their boys really bad. Under these perfect conditions, a black market is born. That's where we come in. That's where these desperate families start to ask around. That's where they say they pay you a fortune if you can just give them a boy. And they are your customers, your tickets to enormous wealth. Now all you need is supplies. Lots and lots of supplies. Unlike what you may think, most of our supplies aren't taken or kidnapped. They are sold by their own parents. The poorer they are, the more willing they are to sell their own kids. Why risk being caught red-handed taking a kid from a train station when the same mom who works 12 hours a day will happily sell their kids to you for just 1,000 USD? Just go to the west of China and find the poorest towns and villages. They've been lining up to sell their kids to you. Some of our competitors go one step further by recruiting women to build a production line. There are villages where women do nothing but keep getting pregnant and sell their children. Breeding is their job. These women will negotiate the price with the human traffickers before the babies are born. The latter will provide a place for them to live, hide them away from authority, and take the babies from them as soon as they're born. If you're concerned that these mothers may one day let the guild eat up to them and report us, you're way overthinking it. These people don't consider what they're doing as morally wrong. From the point of view of the mother, she is giving the kid the opportunity to grow up in a much better environment, and she is able to support her own family doing so. There is no better job in the world. In fact, they often thank us when we're taking the babies away. In the few instances where the police found and rescued those kids, these parents are often reluctant to take their own kids back. It's like a cruel, sick version of the no return policy. Anyways, back to business. While the previously mentioned human breeding pen is a less risky way to harvest babies, it requires a large capital due to the higher upfront costs of buying babies and sheltering the women. If you want to get in the business but don't have the startup money, don't worry, it is still possible. Just steal them. No one can watch over their child 24/7. All it takes is for their parents to look away for half a minute, then you can disappear with the child among the sea of people. But you need to be smart about which kids to take. Rule of thumb, don't steal local kids, because local police will treat these cases much more seriously, which means higher risks and less time to sell your kid. Instead, always pick the kids of Mingong, which translates to farmer workers. They migrate to big cities to look for jobs that don't exist back home, and local people generally despise and look down on them. They live in slums and work the dirtiest jobs locals won't do. They cannot afford childcare in an expensive city, so their kids are mostly left to their own devices. They are ghosts living in the shadow of the city, the perfect targets. To give you some ideas, between the year 2000 and 2004, there were 352 reported missing children in Kunming. Only 2 of them were local kids. The rest were all Mingong's kids. Once you identify your target, you can start taking kids wherever you can. Open streets, shopping malls, train stations are the 3 best options, since they all have multiple access points that allow you to escape easily. In cities where security is tighter, you need to be more creative. Like some of us will invest in some doctor uniform, then pick a hospital, sneak in and simply take the kids from the mother's hands, telling them they need some sort of examinations. They won't even suspect a thing. Did you know that some hospitals actually work with us? First, you recruit some doctors. They will then pick some Mingong families. Then the doctor will tell them their newborn has some horrible deformity, which is of course not true, and it is of their best interest to just give it up for adoption. They will sign the release paper with tearful eyes, all without seeing their own child once. We then sell the child and use the money to pay the doctors, who then will bring more babies to us. Zero cost, big profit. A perfect business model. To give credit to the police, they have strengthened their effort in cracking down our operations over the years, so it is not safe anymore to just carry a stolen kid around. Instead, after you successfully get your hand on a kid, you should immediately transfer the kid to what we refer to as the nannies. Mostly made of women, their job is to build relationship with these taken kids in a short period of time. They will play with them, sing for them, feed them, nurse them. Eventually, the kid, after the initial shock, will grow to be attached to the nanny, even calling them mom in some cases. It is only then it will be safe for the nannies to travel with the kids and put them in the hands of local distributors, who will in turn find the eventual buyers from his vast network of potential customers. Then it is time to talk money. The price is largely based on the following 3 factors. 1. Gender. Boys are always more expensive than girls. 2. Age. The younger, the more expensive, since it is easier for the kid to adjust to the new environment. 3. Health condition. It's industry practice to provide health certificate to prove the kid is healthy without any hidden disease. Failing to do so will result in a much lower price. Due to the increased difficulty in recent years, the price of a healthy young boy has increased to 10,000 to 20,000 USD. After deducting the costs for hiring kidnappers, nannies, and distributors, you will finally be able to enjoy the profit for all the hard work you do. Now do the cycle a few more hundred times. I guarantee you can retire comfortably in a few years. Just like any business, there are always risks involved. If you are caught, you will face up to life in prison. Well, at least in principle. Most of them were given 3 to 5 years only, and it's not like you will get caught easily. To date, no official statistic is available on how many kids are kidnapped every year, so we need to rely on other sources that reflect on it. 宝贝回家 is the largest website for families to look for their missing children. From 2007 to 2018, there are in average 11 newly registered families every day looking for their kids, totaling at 39,825. Only 3,365 families were able to unite with their kids. That means less than 9% of the listed missing kids were found. So as long as you're careful, you are going to be just fine. The last piece of advice I would give to you is, don't let your guilt get to yourself. From time to time, you may ask yourself if what you're doing is wrong. Let me tell you this. What we're doing isn't illegal, but it isn't wrong. We're literally fulfilling the only dream of our customers, to have a boy. If the government didn't impose the inhumane one-child policy, we will not be needed. If people care for the Mingon in their city more, it wouldn't be that easy for us to take their kids. If these people are not so sexist to think that only boys matter, we wouldn't even have a business. We exist because the society has created us, and the society has created us because it needs us. We are the necessary evil, and we're here to stay for a long, long time. Thank you for tuning in. This is the third episode of the Dog China series. Originally, this one would cover the kidnapping of older boys and girls who are sold to hard labor camps, beggar gangs, and brothels, but this is simply too much to cover in one setting, so that's it for now. There will be a new video next week, and it's going to be a lighthearted one. Working title is Top 10 Things That Shouldn't Explode But Did Anyway Because China. So stay tuned. If you like the content here, please give a thumbs up, share on social media, and subscribe. Until next time.